Welcome to 6th and 7th grade math at the Watkinson School. My name is Ms. Baratko and I teach all of the 6th and 7th grade math classes here at Watkinson. And I teach those classes using a model, an educational theory called the flipped model or backwards design. We like to call it the flipped classroom. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about that today so that you know what to expect in September. So the flipped classroom is just kind of what it sounds like. If you think about what a traditional classroom would look like from day to day, and you flip everything about it upside down, that is the flipped classroom model. Now, what do I mean? Well, in a flipped classroom, the content that you're looking at happens at home. So if you think about a traditional classroom, when you get up in the morning and you go to school, you're usually going to go to a classroom and listen to the teacher teach you something new, something that you don't know before. And you'll spend a lot of time in your classroom doing that. And the model of the flipped classroom says that it's a little bit of a waste of classroom time, because while you're in the classroom and you have the teacher with you, it seems a shame not to be able to utilize their skills and their knowledge to their best potential. So in a flipped model, we actually introduce new content, new ideas at home. You're thinking, well, how do I do that? Well, what we do is I will record a video lecture, a new topic, something that I want you to learn about several days before it's time for you to watch the video. And I will assign that video for homework. So when you go home, you'll log on to Podium and you'll see for homework tonight, I have a video on fractions. And you'll go online and you'll watch the video. So all the videos are on YouTube, so it's very easy for students to access the content. I strongly encourage you to pause the video, to play, rewind, fast forward as many times as you may need. So again, as I'm lecturing, you might need a little more time to take notes. So you can pause the video so that you have the time to take your notes. You might not have understood one of the examples that I presented, so you can go back and watch it again. There's also an opportunity for you to post questions and responses so that you can interact with the video and get feedback from me during the evening. And what I think is the coolest part is that the video itself is really paced, or the speed of the video depends on the student who's watching the video. If this is totally brand new material for you, you're going to want to do a little self-remediation. You're going to want to watch the video a second time. You might want to look up some vocabulary words. You might want to make sure that your notes are absolutely thorough. You have all the notes that I asked you to take. All of your notes get taken in your interactive notebook so that throughout the year we're building a resource, a textbook, so to speak, for you to reference for all of your learning. The tactile components of the mathematics notebook for 6th and 7th grade classes include foldable templates that have the students' notes from various video lectures, in addition to all sorts of different methodologies to solving problems. There's always more than one method to solve a problem that will suit the students' needs. There's also a great deal of color coding and color sorting in terms of showing mathematical algorithms and stages so that students can both visually and tactilely interact with their learning. Technology is also incorporated into the interactive notebooks as QR codes so that when students use a scan application on their iPads, they can access their physical notes through their notebook and view a certain topic. For, in this case, it's division. And pasted directly on that division page is their code that when scanned will bring them directly to more long division resources online that I've created and linked to that specific code. All of these components make the notebook interactive. Now, if we're talking about learning new information at home, what are we doing in the classroom? Well, we are applying that new information. So now instead of sitting in class and just listening to the teacher teach, you're actually practicing new material. Think kind of along the lines of what you would traditionally do for homework. A worksheet, an activity, a project, any of those kinds of things will happen during the classroom. So you'll first practice some operational exercises, meaning simple problems. So if your video was on fractions, you might need to identify a couple of different fraction drawings that I have put together for you. Then you're going to apply the concepts. So think about more word problems, story problems, new places in which you haven't seen fractions before. Then we can move into more creative, abstract, real-world type of studying and using fractions in things that are really relevant to your everyday life. We'll do a lot of collaborative work, and the teacher is there, I'm there the whole time, so that you can ask as many questions as you want. You can get one-on-one help throughout the entire class session, and you're never left confused or unsure about a new idea, and you're also never bored, right? Because there's always something new and exciting. There's always something that's going to be challenging for you specifically that will be available for you to work on. Middle school mathematics is a one-to-one iPad curriculum, meaning every student uses an iPad during the class period every time we meet. Their digital materials are held on a server called Schoology, where they have all of their classwork in addition to projects, their gradebook, any information they're really looking for about their math class. They can access this information online through Schoology.com or through an iPad device or phone with the Schoology app downloaded. These devices give us the opportunity to really differentiate for every student and pull up materials instantaneously for them to receive the practice that they need at the level that they are at currently in their studies. The iPad cart holds about 17 devices currently, including my master device and the Apple Macintosh computer, which hosts all of our apps and programs and does a whole lot of syncing of new material onto the devices fairly regularly. The computer can also mirror iPad screens, so at any time I can turn a student's iPad into a mirroring device to track their progress, see what they're working on in the moment, and the students know that at any time I can see exactly what they're working on. These devices are also a huge hit with the kids in terms of applications, games, activities that they can access at any time. Each iPad has a folder for MATH6, MATH7, and MATH7 Accelerated that contains unique content skill building games that students can access whenever they finish their assigned home classwork early. So this is always growing and changing, and students really have a good time exploring the new apps and activities that are available. And as they do that, I'm also exploring the new activities that are available. More apps are being created daily, and there's always something new out there that will address the mathematical skill that I'm looking for a student to be successful at. So to connect this a little bit, I talk about homework a lot because I think that homework is a key obstacle in students understanding math, at least in the early middle school, elementary years, because students have to be motivated to attend to homework, and they have to exert effort in order to improve performance. And that's very difficult to do if you're home working on an assignment on your own, and maybe you're confused, or maybe you have a question, or maybe you forgot what the new lesson was about that day in class. This is never an issue in the flipped classroom because all of that practice takes place in the classroom. So the teacher's there, I'm there again to assist you. This is the most important. Your practice must be intentional, aimed at improving performance, designed for your current skill level, combined with immediate feedback, and repetitious. Those are very specific ideas. And without those ideas, homework is not as effective as it should be. And so instead of me having you do homework at home where maybe a few of these ideas are really focused on, we do the homework in the classroom where we can definitely meet all of those criteria to have meaningful practice. Engagement plus motivation equals learning. This is a photo of my 7th graders on a field trip in Bushnell Park. We went to approximate how tall the Christmas tree was in the park using similar triangles and angles and some tricky weather forecasts in order to find our equations. But the motivation piece here really is that the more understanding you have around a certain idea, a certain concept, the more you can study it, the more it can relate to you in real life, the more in depth we can work and do some more interesting, fun, exciting, collaborative activities, right? If we are all studying and working hard and we all understand the concept, there's plenty of time for a field trip. There's plenty of time for a group project. Whereas if people are working a little slower or having difficulty and struggling on assignments outside of school, we don't have the time in the classroom to dedicate to these kinds of activities. Inventive teaching and learning, using the iPad in the classroom is a huge component of the flipped classroom, mostly because there's so many different assignments and activities that you could be working on at one time. So in a class of 12 students, all 12 students might be learning something different and working on something different in the same moment, which means I need a really great way to track and organize all of those materials so I can assign you a grade after every single class. This is the tool, Schoology, that we will use to do that. Another piece of the flipped classroom, having everyone working on something different, having some people working in groups, some people working individually, lots of exciting learning going on. We need to focus on behavior as well. And Class Dojo is a tool that will allow me to manage classroom behavior. You will all get a monster, and your monster will get positive and negative feedback about your classroom behaviors. Something really cool about the flipped classroom is that it's new and it's exciting, and a lot of people are starting to be very interested in the flipped classroom. And so at Watkinson, we've had a lot of kind of buzz about what we're doing with the flipped classroom, and here's just a few newspaper articles to represent that. That being said, my students often get to participate in these articles, and it's really exciting and fun, and it's nice to be able to share with our community what we're doing to increase our learning in math.